In other days class, I was talking about spring bean life cycle now, boss. Yeah. Who manages spring bean life cycle? Tell me. Who manages spring bean life cycle? IOC container. How many life cycle events are there in spring bean life cycle? How many life cycle events are there in spring bean life cycle? Please respond, guys. Who are there? What are those events, guys? Instantiation event, destruction event. Right now, boss? One is instantiation event. One is instantiation event, one is destruction event, right, boss? What are the life cycle methods? Init life cycle method, destroy life cycle method. One is init life cycle method, other one is what? Destroy life cycle method. Getting my point, guys? One is init life cycle method, other one is what? Destroy life cycle method, guys. Total 2 life cycle methods are there. What do you say? What kind of logics we write in the init life cycle method? To check whether important properties are injected with correct values or not, and to initialize those properties which are not participating in any initialization. So these two operations we do there or not? We do these two operations there. What do you say, boss? Okay. In the destroy life cycle method, what operations we do, guys? We try to nullify the spring bean properties. Super. And we try to release the non-Java resources associated with the spring bean. We try to release the non-Java resources associated with the spring beans, right? Everyone getting my point, boss? Okay, total how many approaches are there to go for spring bean lifecycle configurations? 3 approaches. One is declarative approach, one is programmatic approach, last one is annotation approach. In declarative approach, we need to take the lifecycle method. We need to configure the lifecycle method using XML bean tag attributes or not. What are those 2 attributes? Init method, destroy method attributes, right? Init method and destroy method attributes. Got it? Init method and destroy method attributes. Are you agree with me, guys? Okay. Super, boss. Sachin Yadav, are you not feeling shame to behave fresh every day? We have been using context namespace in Spring Bean configuration file from the childhood, right? From the childhood. First, I have given how to copy from internet. Later, I have used how to get context namespace. Okay, using STS plugin, right? If STS plugin is having problem, I ask you to go for copy paste approach. And you are still asking me how to enable context namespace in Spring Bean configuration file. If I scold, you will feel bad. Okay. Control space will give suggestions only when STS plugin is working. Mr. Sachin Yadav, reduce your attitude, try to be humble and focus on more on practicals. Your rebellion behavior is not going to work out in the software industry. Fine. If you are having STS plugin properly installed, go for STS plugin based approach to get the context and beans namespace in Spring Bean configuration file. Super. If you don't have that, old approach is there na, copy pasting from internet search, Google search. You can continue with that. You can continue with that. Super, guys. Shall we move to okay. Can we move to programmatic approach, guys? Programmatic approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Yeah, programmatic approach, guys. Yeah, programmatic approach means here configure. We have to do everything through Java code, guys. Here Spring Bean gets fixed lifecycle methods because Spring Bean class needs to implement Spring API supplied interfaces. What are those interfaces, guys? Initializing bean interface, disposable bean interface, right? Here Spring Bean becomes invasive Spring Bean. Here Spring Bean becomes what, guys? Invasive Spring Bean. What do you mean by invasive Spring Bean, guys? Tightly coupled with Spring API. Tightly coupled with Spring API. Tightly coupled with Spring API. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Super. Spring API supplied interfaces. Spring API supplied interfaces. Initializing bean interface after properties set method. Disposable bean interface destroy method, right? Disposable initializing bean interface after properties set method. Treat it as custom init method, guys. What method? Custom init method. Super. After properties method is the method of initializing bean interface, and we must treat it as a custom init method, right? In disposable interface, destroy method is there. Treat it as a custom destroy method. Custom destroy method. Clear, boss? Must treat it as a custom destroy method. Treat it as a custom init method. Treat it as a custom destroy method. Spring API supplied interfaces. These two are your Spring Bean class must implement these two interfaces. Okay, in after properties set method, we write custom init method logics. In disposable interface destroy method, we write what? We write what, guys? Custom destroy method logics. Okay, but listen, making Spring Bean class implementing these two Spring API supplied interfaces. Okay, tell me, make Spring Bean as invasive now, boss? Invasive means Spring Bean class is tightly coupled with the Spring API. The Spring Bean class is tightly coupled with the Spring API. What do you say, guys? The Spring Bean class is tightly coupled with the Spring API or not? One is initializing bean, other one is disposable. One is initializing bean, other one is disposable bean. Here is my info dot properties, guys. Here is my info dot properties. Raja 30. Okay, let's see. Let's implement that. Okay. Do I need to configure these lifecycle methods anywhere? No. Spring Bean class is implementing predefined interfaces. By seeing those interface implementation, the lifecycle methods of that Spring Bean will be called automatically or not. The lifecycle methods of Spring Bean will be called automatically or not. So is there any need of configuring Spring Bean lifecycle methods explicitly, guys? No. So they will be called automatically by seeing the Interface implementation done on the Spring Bean. Interface implementation done on the Spring Bean. Right now, boss?
ఏదో ఉందండి అందులో నమ్మ బస్సు ఏదో నమ్మ బస్సు
Let's get into our workspace, guys. Wait for some time. Let's get into our workspace. File, switch workspace. Where is this? NTSP64, right? FSNTSP64. Close all editors, guys. Done. Okay, where is this, my dear? Where is this? Strategy DP, Spring Bean scopes. Yeah, declarative approach. Copy, paste. Spring Bean life cycle. Here is my programmatic approach, guys. Here is my programmatic approach. Info dot properties. Name here, age here, address here. Nice. Tell me next one. Here is my SBeans. Voting eligibility check service dot Java. Voting eligibility check service dot Java. Tell me what it should implement, guys. Bean interface. Initializing bean interface. Next, disposable bean interface. Right now, boss. Add unimplemented methods. Add unimplemented methods. Copy this. Say paste. What is the method name? Destroy method. Destroy method. That is a business method, guys. Here is my INIT method, guys. Copy this, say paste. Copy this, say paste. Yeah, here is what method, guys? After properties set method. After properties set. Tell me. Tell me. Is there any XML configuration related to Spring Bean, guys? No. So that's why we can happily configure this class as what? Annotation driven class or not? Voting check eligibility service. Voting check eligibility service. Right, boss? Super. Tell me next one. At the rate value. At the rate value. Tell me next one. At the rate value. Dollar. Array, bean ID, I can give anything now, boss. Dollar name. Dollar PER dot name, if I am wrong. If I am not wrong, PER dot name. PER dot name, PER dot age, PER dot address. PER dot age. Cut it, guys. PR dot is. Next, PR dot address. PR dot address. Everyone getting my point? Here is PR dot name, guys. PR dot address. PR dot is. This is my setter method. Okay. No, there is no need of setter methods right now. Why? Array, values annotations can happen directly or not. Super. This is my init method is required, guys. Not required. Field injection. My destroy method is not required. Not required. Super, guys. After property set method acts as init lifecycle method. Acts as init lifecycle method. After property set, guys, say paste. Acts as destroy lifecycle. Acts as destroy lifecycle. Super. Acts as init lifecycle method, acts as destroy lifecycle. Super, guys. Application context.xml was. Hey, listen, that's a method came from interface, na? That's a method available in the interface, right? Fixed name will be there, na, boss. Interface methods, ra, babu. They are the interface methods, right? It's a predefined interface. It's a fixed method. It's a predefined method. It's a fixed method. Both these methods are predefined and fixed method names of because they are available in the predefined interfaces of Spring API. In the predefined interfaces of Spring API. They are available in the predefined interfaces of Spring API. Everyone understanding my statement, guys? They are available in predefined interface of. Now people are worried about after property set why it is. Array, I said, na, it's a fixed name. Why the after property set? Listen, meaning after setting values to all the properties, this method executes. When init lifecycle method executes, when after property set to execute, once all properties are injected with dependent values, okay, then this method is executing. That's why they have given name called what? After properties set. I think now you convinced why they have taken name called after properties set, guys. Okay, guys. Now property file is configured. That's nice. Enable component scanning bus. Yeah. Enable component scanning. Context colon component scan. Tell me. com.nt.esbeans. com.nt.esbeans, right, boss? Super. This is a default file, leave it best. Spring Bean lifecycle test. Remaining everything same, guys. Remain everything same. Okay. Now, right now what? All positive numbers, guys. All positive things. Check it out what's happening. No such bean name exception. VCS. What's the bean ID? VCS. Acha. We'll take the same. VECS, guys. Spring Bean Lifecycle Test, guys. Java application. Java application, guys. See, after property set is executed, once bean class object is ready, once injections are done in the objects, guys. Okay. After property set method is called. Lastly, destroy method is called. And you have business method execution and all these are happening or not? Business method execution and all these things are happening or not? Business method execution and all these activities are taking place or not? Super. Shall we see the next level discussion, boss? Spring Bean life cycle test, guys. Spring Bean life cycle test. Okay. Okay, now listen. I have given negative value here, minus 34. Same. Spring Bean life cycle test. Name as Java application. Invalid inputs is coming now, boss. Invalid inputs is coming now, boss. I have given this value as a correct value. I have given this value as correct value. Come here. So I forgot to inject value to name property. I forgot to inject the value to name property, right? Run as a Java application. Again, we are getting invalid input values now, boss. Again, we are getting invalid input values. Again, we are getting invalid input values now, boss. Everyone convinced, my dear, got the clarity, boss? Yeah, check it out. Example application, regular info dot properties, bean ID, my choice, guys. Here I have taken voter. Done, done, done. No need of setter method for field injection. This is business method. After property set method. Okay, same logic, guys. Name is required, age must be numeric value. Nullification of bean properties. Okay, we are removing the bean configuration here. Property file configuration. Okay, component scanning on this one. Remaining every stuff is there. There are not there. So we need to now understand advantages and disadvantages of this approach now, boss. Advantages and disadvantages of this approach. Super, guys. And tell me. Advantages, boss. No need of configuring lifecycle method explicitly. Am I configuring these are my lifecycle methods anywhere? Am I configuring these are my lifecycle methods anywhere? Am I configuring these are my lifecycle methods anywhere, guys? No need of configuring lifecycle method explicitly because the fixed lifecycle methods execute automatically based on the interfaces that are implemented. Based on the interfaces that are implemented. Super na boss? Super. Can be used in both XML driven configuration and annotation driven configuration based on Spring Bean classes. Based on Spring Bean classes. Yes or no, boss? Can be used in XML driven configuration and annotation driven configuration. How can you say, guys? XML driven. If you configure Spring Bean in XML file, if it is a predefined class, You can configure Spring Bean in XML file. If that class is already implementing disposable bean, initializing bean interfaces, it works in XML approach and also works in annotation approach. Today I have shown in annotation approach only na boss. Spring Bean. Okay. Based on Spring Bean classes. What is that? If the Spring Bean is user defined class, okay, then prefer XML configurations. If the Spring Bean is predefined class, then prefer what is this? Annotation driven config. Disadvantages, guys. Makes the Spring Bean as invasive because the Spring Bean class needs to implement initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces. Initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces. Everyone getting my point there, guys? For predefined classes, we can go for XML configuration. Now, why? Can we add annotations on the top of predefined classes? No. Right, boss. Next, we can use this technique only. We can use this technique only in those predefined or third-party classes that are implementing initializing bean or disposable bean interfaces. Are you understanding my statement? Predefined class, acha, reverse, oh, mistake has come. Here mistake. User defined annotation configurations. Here XML configurations. Are you understanding? Reverse. We can use this technique only in those predefined or third-party classes that are implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interface. Come on, guys. Can we use in every predefined class? No. If you want to use this technique in any predefined class, the predefined class must and should implement what? Initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces or not? Initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces or not? Come on, my dear. Got the clarity, boss? We don't call life cycle methods manually. They will be called automatically based on the life cycle events that are raised, guys. Based on the life cycle events that are raised. Everyone getting my point, guys? So, two disadvantages are there. Got it? Okay. I will give conclusion. I will give conclusion at the end of all three approaches. Shall we go for Spring Bean life cycle using Annotation driven approach. Last technique is what, guys? Annotation driven approach. First one is declarative, right? First one is declarative approach, guys. Yeah. Second one is programmatic approach. B. Okay. Third one is annotation driven approach, right? Okay. Here I will make it to C, guys. Third one is annotation driven approach. Let me give the feeling of heading. Yes, guys. For this, we need to use @post construct and @post pre-destroy annotations. @post construct and pre-destroy annotations. Everyone understanding my statement, guys? Come on. @post construct pre-destroy annotation. @post construct to configure user-defined Java method as custom init method. @pre-destroy to configure user-defined Java method as custom destroy method. Super. @post construct pre-destroy. Okay. On the top of user-defined method, you add this annotation that become custom destroy method. On the top of init method, you add this annotation. This becomes what? Custom destroy method. Clear, my dear? These are not Spring annotation. These are JDK supplied annotations, guys. Everyone understanding? This approach cannot be used on predefined classes because we cannot add the above annotation by opening the source code of predefined classes. Can we use these annotations in the predefined classes, guys? Can we open the source code of predefined class? Can we add them? Super. Now listen. The MO annotations were there in JDK software up to Java 9. Up to Java 9. Come on, guys. But removed from JDK. And given in separate jar file from JDK 10. And the separate jar file name is javax.annotation-api-version.jar. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Up to Java 9, these are part of JDK software. From Java 10 onwards, these annotations are there in a separate jar file. And this is pom.xml entries to get this jar file in Maven application. Okay, these are pom.xml entries or not? These are pom.xml entries. Pom.xml file entries in the Maven project. To get the jar file. To get the javax dot annotation-api-version.jar. Everyone getting my point, guys? These are pom.xml file entries in Maven project to get the Java x.annotation-api.jar. Cool, guys. Super cool, guys. Are you understanding my statement? Guys. Spring Bean lifecycle annotation approach, guys. What approach? Annotation approach. Spring Bean lifecycle annotation approach. Cool. Spring Bean lifecycle annotation approach. So all these things. What is the jar file we are having this annotation, boss? Right. What is this? mvnrepository.com. Done. Java x-annotation-API. Java x-annotation-API. Say this, guys. Say paste. Say next, say paste. Okay. Copy pasted, no? I copy pasted the project, right? When you copy paste the project, old settings will continue as it is. But let me check whether the jar has come or not. Java x-annotation-api.jar. Coming now, boss? Okay. In that one, let me make sure that Java x dot pre-destroy and post construct. These two classes are there. If you open the source code, guys, if you open the Maven gives built-in decompiler, boss. You can see it's an annotation. You can see it's an annotation. Annotation pre-destroy without any parameters. Annotation post-construct without any parameters. Annotation post-construct without any annotation parameters. Cool, guys. Got the point, my dear? Everyone understanding my statement? Application context dot. Now let's see SBeans already configured with annotations tool. This is business method. Okay, here I can take my choice method, guys. My INIT. Not compulsory, you should have this name. Any name you can use. But my INIT is a direct method, no? There is no need of @ override. And moreover, class need not to implement any interfaces, right? Class need not to implement any interfaces. Oh, it is let's find destroy method, no? My destroy. This is my destroy, guys. This is my INIT. My INIT. Okay. Now this is my INIT method. My INIT method. Super. Yeah. But I have to configure with life cycles, boss. Oh, come on, guys. In life cycle method, can we pass parameters? In life cycle method, can we really pass parameters, guys? No, definitely. We cannot pass parameters, boss. Sorry. That's the standard. My destroy means what, guys? On my destroy, what is the annotation I should pass? On my destroy, what is the annotation I should pass, guys? On my destroy, what is the annotation I should pass? At the rate pre-destroy. Done. Okay. On my NIT, what is the life cycle method I should pass, guys? At the rate post construct. At the rate pre-destroy, at the rate post construct. At the rate pre-destroy and at the rate post construct. Coming, boss, are you understanding my statement, guys? Come on, are you with me? Here is my pre-destroy, my post construct. Application context.xml, com.nt.sbeans. com.nt.sbeans, guys. Remaining all are perfect, guys. Remaining all are perfect. Spring Bean life cycle test, voting eligibility 1. Yeah, Spring Bean life cycle test. Okay, right now, let us assume I am giving everything perfectly. 34, that's good. Voting eligibility also. Here also nothing is commented. Nothing is commented. Everything is given perfectly. Right click. Run as a Java application. Yeah, this is my NIT method. This is my destroy. My NIT method. Here is my destroy method. Minus 34, guys. Illegal argument exception, invalid input values. Rising the exception now, boss. Rising the exception. That means automatically pre-destroy and post-construct annotation related methods are taken as the lifecycle methods, are happily taken as the lifecycle methods. They are treated as lifecycle methods, right? This time methods are configured as lifecycle method through annotations. What do you say, guys? They are configured as lifecycle method through annotations. Check it out. Step number 1, add this jar file, added. Develop the resources of the application. Regular one. Is there any need of in application context.xml? Component scanning is required, guys. Property file configuration either through XML or through annotations. Application context.xml. Spring Bean configuration, guys. Regular. What is extra? This post construct is extra, guys. And this pre-destroy is extra, boss. This post construct is extra, pre-destroy is extra. CTX.getBean, boss. CTX.getBean. Right. Remaining all are regular, na, boss. Only annotations are extra and adding annotation related jar file is extra. Yes, na, boss? Super. Advantages of annotation driven Spring Bean lifecycle management. Allows us to take Spring Bean. Allows us to take Spring Bean as non-invasive classes, guys. Allows us to take Spring Bean as non-invasive classes. Spring Bean as a non-invasive class. Is there any need of Spring Bean implementing any interface, guys? Is there any need of Spring Bean implementing any interface, guys? Super, guys. Next. Spring Bean lifecycle method names are custom names with fixed signatures, guys. Custom names with fixed signatures. Spring Bean lifecycle method names are custom names with fixed signatures. No need of continuous Spring Bean lifecycle methods using what? XML tags, because we can add @predestroy, @post-construct annotation in that source code itself. We can take our choice names now, boss. No need of configuring Spring Bean lifecycle methods using XML tag, because we can configure by using annotations or not. Spring Bean can be taken as invasive class or non-invasive class. Disadvantage, boss. Tell me, what is the disadvantage? Can be used only in user-defined Spring Bean classes. Why we cannot use in predefined classes, guys? Because we cannot add annotations. We cannot add annotations in the source code of predefined classes. In the source code of predefined classes. Got it, boss? Super, boss. Tell me. Can be used only in annotation-driven Spring Bean configuration. Can be used only in annotation-driven Spring Bean configuration. Are you getting my point, guys? That means cannot be used in XML-driven Spring Bean configuration. Or if Spring Bean is configured using XML, okay, if Spring Bean is configured using XML, do you think these annotations will be recognized? No. Spring Bean also should be configured using annotation. Spring Bean also should be configured using annotations. Nice. Next, from JDK 9 version, we need to add separate jar file to work with these annotations. What is that jar file, guys? Java x.annotation-API version.jar. Array, why I'm adding? Right now, what is my project to Java version 17? 17 is definitely what? After 9 version only. From 10th version, they have removed these annotations from JDK software. They have given in separate jar file. Right now, boss, they have given in separate jar file. For that reason, we need to deal with this one or not. For that reason, we need to deal with this reason or not. I want reply, boss. Come on. Super. This is about annotation-driven approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Okay. Now listen. Conclusion on Spring Bean lifecycle configuration. This is the Bible of Spring Bean lifecycle, guys. This clarity should be there in your brain like anything. This clarity should be there in your brain like anything. Understanding? This clarity should be there in your brain like anything, boss. This conclusion, this clarity must be there in your brain like anything. Got it, my dear? Super. Fine, man. If your Spring Bean is XML-driven configuration, if your Spring application is XML-driven configuration-based application, and your Spring Bean is user-defined class, then prefer declarative approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. You decided to develop Spring application purely XML-driven configuration. Purely XML. You don't want to entertain annotations. You don't want to entertain annotations. Then prefer declarative approach, guys. Listen wording very carefully. If your Spring application is XML plus annotation driven, or 100% code-driven configuration-based application, and your Spring Bean is user-defined class, then prefer annotation approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Then prefer annotation approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Convinced, my dear? You are developing application either using XML plus annotation or 100% code-driven configuration. And your Spring Bean is user-defined class. In user-defined classes, you can add annotations now, boss. Then prefer annotation approach of Spring Bean configuration or Spring Bean lifecycle. Super. If your Spring Bean is Spring API supplied Java class, guys. Implementing initializing bean or disposable bean interface. Then automatically it uses programmatic approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Or if Spring Bean is Spring API supplied class, implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces, then it automatically uses programmatic approach of Spring Bean lifecycle or not. Then it automatically uses programmatic approach of Spring Bean lifecycle or not. I want reply. Is that clear, guys? Are you understanding my statement, boss? There is no question of implementing other approaches here, right? You have to have visualization, boss. You have to have visualization. If your Spring Bean is Spring API supplied or third party supplied or some other API supplied Java class, not implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces directly or indirectly, then prefer using declarative approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Predefined but not implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces. Then we have to go for declarative approach or not. Then we need to go for declarative approach or not. I want reply, boss. Then definitely we need to go for declarative approach. Solidly, literally, we need to go for declarative approach. Agree with me, guys? Convinced with me? Okay, once again, close your eyes and visualize. You are developing Spring application totally using XML driven configuration. And your Spring Bean is what? User defined or predefined. Then you have to go for declarative approach now, because you decided not to entertain any other things. Then only option that is left is XML configurations, right, boss? Done. Okay. If you are developing your Spring application, either XML approach, XML plus annotation or code-driven configuration approach. And Spring Bean is what? User-defined class. Spring Bean is user-defined class. And then what is this? We have to go for annotation-driven approach because annotations can be applied. Spring Bean is Spring API supplied predefined class, implementing initializing bean or disposable bean interfaces. Automatically programmatic approach. Spring Bean is Spring API supplied or some third party supplied predefined class, but not implementing initializing bean or what? Disposable bean interfaces directly or indirectly. No option. We have to go for declarative approach. No option. We have to go for declarative approach. I think everyone thoroughly understood the conclusion part, boss. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything is good. According to the situation, we have to choose what? Life cycle approaches. According to situation, you have to decide Spring Bean life cycle approaches. According to the situation, you have to decide Spring Bean life cycle approaches. Got it? You have to go by situation. We have to go by situation. Understanding my statement? Conclusion gives clarity or not? What is your application development? What is your Spring Bean class? Can I ask some random questions? Okay, I'm developing my Spring application using XML plus annotation, and my Spring Bean is what? Predefined class. Then what should I do? My Spring Bean is predefined class. Predefined class given by third party. Predefined class given by third party. Which approach of life cycle I should use? Declarative or annotation or declarative or worst fellow. Sachin Yadav, I said third party supplied predefined class. Third party means not given by Spring people. Tell me, is there any chance of adding annotations in predefined classes? That's why it's called Sachin Yadav. You have taken the name of great cricketer and you are behaving very worst. Basic analyzation you are not doing. Okay, once again, my Spring application is XML plus annotation. My Spring Bean class is user defined. Which approach I should use? Which approach I should use? Annotation approach. Yeah, this clarity is there. Super. Okay, guys. Next. My Spring application is XML plus annotation. Spring Bean is predefined class given by Spring API, implementing, initializing bean and declare disposable bean interfaces. Then which approach? Spring Bean is predefined, implementing disposable bean and initializing bean interfaces. I need not to do anything. Automatically programmatic approach. Automatically it will start using programmatic approach. What do you say, guys? Automatically it will start using programmatic approach. Convinced, my dear? Got the clarity, boss? Super. Okay. Yeah, with this we completed Spring core module, guys. Tomorrow onwards, Spring JDBC. Tomorrow onwards, Spring JDBC. I want you people to go through plain JDBC once before coming tomorrow's class. What is JDBC driver? What is JDBC driver class? What is SQL query? What is statement object? What is result set object? Understanding? Alexa, activate balcony center light.
Okay.
Purely JDBC knowledge you told. Yeah, advanced Java knowledge only, but you have to recollect it. Because Spring JDBC internally uses plain JDBC. You know that, right? Oh, I'm uploading in advanced Java now. Sorry, it's my mistake then. Okay. Select another version of STS plugin, boss. 3.9 is giving problem now. Try to use other one. Try to use other one. Okay, Harshit Chaurasya, what is the procedure for NASCAM? What procedure you are asking? To get NASCAM certificate or I didn't get you? I didn't get you what you are asking. Sudhir Raja. Spring Bean properties allocates memory where inside the Spring Bean class object. Why don't you use common sense before writing such stupid questions, Sudhir Raja? Will properties be set before creating Spring Bean? First of all, tell me Spring Bean properties allocates memory inside the Spring Bean object or outside the Spring Bean object? Guys, I'm not worried about you ask the question. I'm worried about the way you are asking question. No common sense, no presence of mind while putting question. Will properties be set before creating Spring Bean, sir? Spring properties allocates memory inside the Spring Bean class object. So without creating Spring Bean class object, is there any memory for properties? Respond, Mr. Sudhir Raja. Are you feeling what you have done? What mistake you have done? Right. At least I'm happy you realized. Sai Kiran, I don't want your statement. I want what is the error you are getting. Prananjal, NASCOM people will conduct one exam. You clear that exam, you will get certificate. You contact your admin will tell the procedure. Error creating been with DT1. Give me complete screen, guys. Complete screen. Yeah, this message I have to see, boss. You send me complete message like this. Don't take photograph at the beginning. Try to take photograph at the end.